Hey, it's Steve, and today I am making homemade spaghetti and meatballs. That's right, I'm even going to make my own breadcrumbs for the meatballs. I actually start the day before by making the dough for my French bread. I placed it in the fridge overnight, brought it out, and once it comes to room temperature, I knead it for a couple of minutes and shape it into a loaf, set it aside for a couple of hours, and let it rise. While the dough's rising, I'm going to start making my sauce, and I've got a few ingredients here. First going in is a whole jar of Rao's homemade marinara, about a teaspoon of red pepper flakes, a bit of salt, a couple of tablespoons of chopped garlic, a couple of heaping tablespoons of brown sugar, about half a can of crushed Italian tomatoes, and I'm going to add some chopped basil from the garden. I'm going to simmer this on the stove for a few hours, and now by this time my dough has risen and is ready to go back into the oven. 450 degrees for about 15 minutes, and there is my loaf of French bread. To make the breadcrumbs, I cut off the ends of the loaf and place those into my blender and turn it on, and it makes beautiful breadcrumbs. And those breadcrumbs will go into these meatballs. Today I'm using ground beef and ground pork. Usually I also add ground veal, but I couldn't find any. But you know what, about 4 hours later after I was done cooking, I found ground veal in the freezer. So you mix all this together with an egg, the breadcrumbs, some milk, salt and pepper to taste, and shape those into meatballs. You can use a spatula if you want, but it's best to use your hands. Wear a glove if it grosses you out. And I'm cooking mine two different ways. I'm doing some in the skillet by flipping those over once they're all browned, and into the sauce they go to simmer for a couple of more hours to cook through and flavor the sauce. And oh my goodness, it is so good. The rest of the meatballs I'm cooking in the oven at 350 degrees between 45 minutes and an hour, and this is what they look like when they come out. I'm actually going to freeze these and use them for a later day, but does it look like one's missing? Well, yeah, that was quality control. You can't have homemade spaghetti and meatballs without homemade pasta. If you want to learn how to make homemade pasta, check out my other video where I make it using the KitchenAid blender. It is so much better than store-bought, and you'll probably never buy it again. Homemade fresh pasta only takes about 3 minutes to cook. When it's done, I strain it and then put it on a plate. You'll probably want to use a large plate for this because it is good and you'll want a bunch of it. So there you have it. There's my homemade spaghetti and meatballs. It's not so quick and easy, but it is worth the effort. So give it a try and let me know how it goes. Did anybody notice I had leftover French bread? What did I do with that? Well, I made pesto and I spread it all over some toasted slices of that bread, and oh my goodness, you'll just want to go curl up in a corner with it and not let anybody else know you have it. Thanks for watching and thanks for subscribing. If you like the video, hit the like button. This is Steve, and I will see you next time around the house.